Okay, deniability and discrediting. Okay, so what happened? Okay, so keep in mind, bear in mind that before I talk about this, you have to realize you can't focus on the particulars of the activity. You have to focus on the activity because the activity is like a template. The activity is an idea that they take and they put it in lots of different places. You'll understand. Pardon me. Hopefully, you'll understand better if I do a good job of explaining, and hopefully, I won't be a douchebag and confuse the heck out of you. But so this is what happened last night. We're sitting, my partner and I are sitting watching a movie, and a huge, like, it sounded from here. Mind you, you have to understand these buildings are not soundproof. So I mean, you can hear people walking by, you can hear people, whispering outside. That's why I have this, trying to keep it quiet so people outside won't stand at my door and eavesdrop. But yeah, so they're not soundproof. It's just crappy structure. They're not soundproof. And so I heard somebody walking back. It was quiet for a long time. We're just watching our movie. It's quiet for quite some time. You hear the odd person walk by, but no big deal. And then I hear not rattling, and not steel sounding, but like thunking, like someone was like, rattling their knuckles on the aluminum frame or something, or rattling something against the brick, or rubbing them, like against the brick, something like that. I didn't know what it was, but it sounded like it was very close to our door. So I opened up the door and looked, and there was nobody there. I walked out, and there was only one person in the courtyard, and that was, okay, so we'll call him Spam Do Spillgrins. So Spillgrins was in his unit. And a little bit of backstory: Spillgrins is a new student this year, and I know that he knew several people from the previous years that lived here. I saw him talking to them, I saw them coordinating, and I saw them, having fun together and in group activities. So they know each other, and all the people here in this building are doctrinated already to the situation. They've already been told about me, they've already been told about the history of this unit, and they know the situation. They're not ignorant. And for them to sit there and claim ignorant, I don't believe it for a second. They know the situation. So he knew the people that were harassing us before. There was a bully that was here before. He knew him and talked to him. He's staying in the same unit as the bully that was here before. And he doesn't play the role of a bully, though, because he's kind of wormy. He's kind of like, a skulker. He goes behind the scenes and, stabs you in the back. He won't stand in your face and punch you in the head. He's not an intimidator. See, what I mean is, the Anglicans here have different people that play different roles. And they act as a group. And in every group, everybody assumes a role. So there's the bulliers and the intimidators and the aggressive ones. Some of them I had problems with before. Then there's the really brainy, technically accomplished people that commit the crimes, computer crimes. Then there's the kind of weaselly people that would do things like, and the computer criminals are weaselly too, so they very easily don't have a problem with breaking into your house. As a matter of fact, they enjoy it. You can see in the way they act and the way they behave that they enjoy the preoccupation. They enjoy the activity of breaking into someone's home. It thrills them. It gives them a thrill. They enjoy acting as a group. They're like a mob, and it gives them a thrill, and they get a pump off it, like an adrenaline pump, and they get excited. And I've seen so many times they build themselves into a frenzy, and they're all excited, and then it gets worse and worse and snowballs. So a scratch, and then more scratches, and then throwing little pebbles or little objects or whatever at your window, and then running by your door, and then brushing their hand against the screen so that it makes a kind of like whoosh, like when a screen door, you brush your hand on it, like a sound like that. And then they get more brazen. They don't get caught, and so they become more brave. And then they realize, oh, nothing's gonna happen to me, and then they continue. And it's been like that since we moved in here. And their behavior is like a gang they are pretty well fearless. They have no fear of consequence. They basically do whatever they want, and they don't fear getting caught. There's no shame in them. I've spoken many times, very vocally, so everyone could hear me easily in the courtyard. It's not that big. If they had their windows open, and nobody cares. Nobody is shamed. Nobody changes their behavior. They just grin and laugh, and it's entertaining for them. It's exciting. If it does bother them, they keep it on the hush hush and very low, and they don't say anything because they don't want to piss off the Anglicans. They don't want to make themselves a target, as they see I am. So back to the conversation. Or back to the topic: deniability and attempts to discredit. So I'm sitting here. There's a loud noise at our door. I don't know where it came from. All I know is that it was at our door. It sounded like it was at our door within 3 or 4 feet. And it sounded like, actually to me, it sounded like it was right up at the building. Right on the brick or right on the aluminum framing. So I go outside and I see Spilgrins. And Spilgrins is, like I said, he's a noisemaker. He's like a person who sneaks into your house at night, or he's a person who will, like that I wrote, or I made a video about someone who mimicked my voice and then harassed my relative overseas and made a perverted comments about my relative's kids and their birthday. And then the same person made a phone call to me shortly after that and then mimicked my voice when I was on the phone. And so this has happened. Okay, mimicked my voice. For example, I answered the phone and I said hello, and the person said hello, and I thought it was so close sounding and so well practiced that I thought it was my voice. I thought the phone was broken and echoing back to me. I thought it was the Anglican screwing, or they messed something up in their communication interception and my phone was screwed. So I said hello, hello, and then I said, who's this? And then the person on the other line said, who are you? Or I said, who's this? The other person said, who's this? Then I said, who the F is this? And then the other person said, who are you? And it was mimicking my voice so closely that it suggested to me that my voice had been previously recorded and studied and practiced. There's no way they could have imitated that closely just from picking up the phone. Certainly no way they could have imitated that closely for a short time trick someone who had known me all my life. So that's an example of what I mean by ratty, kind of sneaky. And that's kind of what Spilgrins is like. He's not a in-your-face aggressive, he's like a trickster. Not a trickster because that sounds romantic, doesn't it? He's a backstabber. He's someone that wants to be in the party, but they're not a big sporty guy, and they're not really a brainiac in the computers. They want to be a part of the group, so they just do they go get coffee, and they get building supplies, or they get like office supplies for the main key players, and their support group. He's part of the support group. So I didn't want to let it go because this has been happening a lot lately. And Spilgrins, I've seen him several times walk by our unit and drop things. Many times he's walked by our unit and dropped things. And it looked to me when I saw him do it that it was intentional. One time he was standing by our unit and a big huge boom, like I heard a big boom. So I look out the door and he's bending down right in front of our unit, like 5 inches away from our unit, and he's picking up a balloon. So our wall's like here, and he's like right here and the path is like only a meter away, so he's like standing right by our window. He's bending down picking up a balloon. Well, there was no wind blowing. How that balloon got on the ground to blow up like that by our unit is like, sorry, I guess the kid could have went like this. But also another possibility is that the guy could have dropped it in front of our unit and made it pop to make the sound. And why are they making this sound? Well, to discredit. Why? Because many times I've said that they've come by our unit and thrown things at our unit, that they run by our unit and brushed our unit to annoy and harass and create psychological unease. Now, does it create psychological unease? If you know what they're doing, it just is more annoying than anything else, isn't it? But if you're an unstable person, all those activities would create psychological unease. It would put the person at unease. It would make the person edgy and, kind of wear on their peace of mind and their home state, their peaceful home environment. It's annoying regardless of who you are. And they've been doing this since we moved in. On some cases, several cases, I would unlock the door. I would come down and check the door, and it would be unlocked. And I lock it from the inside. That means you have to have the key from the outside. So somebody had the key and was walking by the screen, unlocking the screen. And then I would notice that to top it off, not only were they doing that, but to top it off, like Crook Scam would walk by, another pseudonym for another guy who was here before, would walk by, and then he'd rattle his keys. He'd rattle his keys like this when he was walking by, and then I'd open the door and he'd go, "Hey Chris, how's it going?" A big Anglican. "How's it going, Chris?" Rattling his keys, and then he'd put his keys quickly in his pocket. So that's kind of harassment that happened on a daily basis, hourly basis since I've lived here. Very few moments of peace have been experienced living in this building. So when I saw the opportunity to confront the guy, I said, I walked up to him and I said, "Did you just walk by our unit?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Did you rattle or bang at our door? Or did you, make any noises at our door?" I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember my exact words, but this is the gist of it. And he said, "No." I says, "Okay, so what was that sound? And I heard something at our door. What was that sound?" It sounded like somebody was at our door. And he goes, "Oh, well, I kind of dropped a thing." I says, "Oh, okay, so you didn't rattle at our door." And he goes, "By this time we were walking back." I said, he goes, "No, I dropped a thing." I says, "Okay, well, I don't want you going near our screen door or rattling our door." And he said, I just dropped a thing." I says, "Okay, I don't want you rattling our screen door. Do you understand?" He goes, why would I want to do that?" So at that point, I looked at him. I was at our unit by that time because we had been walking by while we were talking. We were walking back towards our unit and towards the front of the building. And at that point, when he said, "Why would I do that?" I said, why don't you ask, go to unit so-and-so and ask why they had their friends come to our door and put their keys in our door, trying different keys to see which one would fit in our screen door. Why don't you ask foolfully why he keeps monitoring and attacking our computers? At this, he said nothing. But that's what I wanted. This is the point. This is another person that I've talked to directly, not through hearsay, but directly about the attacks that Flea is doing on our computers and about the harassments, like, for example, putting keys in our screen door. That was supposed to be a setup, and it was supposed to be an accident. "Oh, we're just feeding your cat. Wrong door, sorry." But in my view, and from what I've seen since living here, it was intentional, I think. So I took the opportunity to say that to him, because now that's another person, and now there's been so many people that I've talked directly about this, and it's very, very clear that nobody wants anything to do with truth or getting to the bottom of the computer attacks. It's very clear that Grins, what am I calling him? Spillgrins. It's very clear that Spillgrins is allied with Foofley and his computer attacks. So if he's allied with Foofley and his computer attacks, he's also allied with the Anglican Church and the Anglican agenda, and that is to create deniability. So the fact that he always walks by our unit, is always dropping things, evidence suggests to me that that is to create noise and distraction so that I go out there. Okay, how does it create deniability? How does it discredit me? Well, if I go out there and I say, "Did you knock on our door?" If he creates sounds that sound like he's at the door, and I go out there and say, "Were you at our door?" and he says, "No, I just dropped a food container, sorry." Or let's say he's walking by and he kicks the food container at the brick on the wall, or he rubs it along the wall as he passes. And then when I go open the door, I'm like, "Did you just do this?" He's, no, I never did anything. I just dropped my container. I'm sorry. See, that's creating deniability. And that everybody who then is watching doesn't care that this is a completely different incident from before. All they see is that I came out and made it was a false positive. It was completely engineered and was completely manipulated social situation. But people don't see that. They just see that I made a false positive, that I came out and asked, did you open the door? Or did you rattle at the door? No, I just dropped a food container. So this is how they create deniability. Now, logic states that it's a completely different incident, that it has nothing to do with the people that brushed the screen before, or unlocked the screen before, or flicked objects at the window before, or the front of the unit before, or it doesn't have anything to do with any of that. However, it creates deniability, and it creates for them situations where they can say, no, if he's wrong about this situation, what's to say he's wrong about that situation? And that's what they do. And the fact of the matter is I saw, for example, Snarker's wife, I saw her walking out her door, and I saw her actually throw a bottle on the ground, like not a glass bottle, but a recyclable plastic bottle. And then she picked it up, and then she did it again, 2 times in a row. So it seems to me like that was an activity, and I saw her. She threw it down. She didn't accidentally drop it, or it didn't flick out of the bottle and drop. It dropped down on the ground. And several other times, the same thing has happened coming by our unit. Now, things are going to drop out of recycle, sure, but it always seems to be in front of our unit. It doesn't seem to happen anywhere else. Now that I've said that, it'll happen in other places, and they'll cover that up. But the fact remains is that they create these situations to create doubt. There is no doubt. These are techniques and tactics that they use in other places. They should be observed, and they should be documented. Because, for example, as I said before, I pleaded that you don't pay too much attention to the particulars of the activity, but that you think about the activity. Now think about it. If you want to hide data, what do? Well, you hide it in a bunch of corrupted data. Say you want to hide a corrupted bank loan, or you want to hide like missing money, or you want to hide money that what do? Well, for example, they've been doing it for a long time in the governments. Charge $500 for a hammer, charge $7,000 for a toilet bowl seat. And then where's the money? The toilet bowl seat's $1. So where'd all the $6,999 go? That's how you hide it. And this is what I'm talking about with these noise, like this activity in front of the unit. It's trying to hide the fact that they did act in harassment, or they did engage in activities of harassment previously. And what they want to do now is cover that up. Now this happens all the time in this building, and this is just another example of deniability and attempts to discredit. That's the word. Sorry. Deniability and discredit, and that's since I've lived here, I've seen that so often with the Anglicans. And even though it seems really silly, I've seen him do it several times since he's lived here, and it seems that he always does it in front of our unit. And now that I've said that, he'll start doing it in front of other units. But the fact of the matter is that the Anglicans have harassed us by, making noises at our unit, by, throwing objects at our unit, by brushing on the screen door, by unlocking the screen door. And there's far worse crimes that have been committed against us. So the important thing, I think, is to take note of these techniques. Like, for example, this technique of discrediting by placing false noise or related noise, or trying to, cover up specific activities by creating a whole bunch of related activities. These are tactics and techniques that, high-level groups and organizations and governments use to cover up their own behavior. So you can take this activity, you can transplant it into any institution, and it'll work. You can take this activity and you can transplant it into any situation where you're trying to cover up corrupted data, or you're trying to cover up corrupted behavior, or dishonorable behavior, criminal behavior, and it'll work. It's too exhausting to watch the entire video to see a few pieces of information. It's too exhausting to sift through a whole bunch of data to find a few pieces of data that are relevant and prove guilt. So people just give up and move on because there's only so much time in life. But I want to document this and look at this, already going on 18 minutes, going on 19 minutes. I wanted to document this for my own sake and for anybody who's interested, because they're using this activity, these techniques in schools, they're using these techniques in universities, they're using these techniques in banking, they're using these techniques in business, they're using these techniques everywhere. It's very important to realize that so you can protect yourself, so that you aren't hurt if you're an innocent person, so that you're not hurt from their harmful, malicious attack. Again, just beware, and hope you have a great day, and be careful out there.